Okay, we'll go ahead and bring the city council meeting to order. I'd like to first ask everyone to stand and join and recite in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Aaron, can you please do roll call?
Jenny Bowers Schultz.
Here.
Matt Dyer.
Here.
Tyler Fullingcamp.
Here.
Scott Murray.
Here.
Abby Wilder.
Here.
Okay. Was everyone given a chance to review the minutes from the previous meeting held on July 21st?
Motion to accept them as emailed.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Okay. First up, I see a couple Canalises over there. You want to talk to us about the Hispanic Festival? Better bring the veteran up here with you.
It's scary that I'm starting to look at all of us around here. I can't get up. This guy's moving way faster than me. You should have seen me try to get up earlier.
I'm still older than you, Victor.
So, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Carson Canales. With me today is Victor Canales, the founder as well as CEO of Canales Legacy Unlimited, as well as my dad, as I'm certain some of you have gathered by now. Presenting to you today, as director of the Festival de Españos here in Decatur, the 2026 Festival de Españos. We are very excited to say that we have a lot of things already going underway for it that have already been sealed, dealed, and ready to go. I believe it's 30 vendors right now, or is it higher than that?
I think it's higher now.
Wow. So
Yeah, your mom just picked up 2 or 3 more.
even as we speak, the festival's growing.
Way to go, Mom.
Just as surprised as I am. So 30 vendors, still planning to do a similar layout as last year. Madison Street Plaza, Madison Street, 2nd Street itself. We have had more than loving support from the community, more than a loving support from the public works, such as our Blue Line, our firefighters, public works themselves. Thank you for everything they do. Without them and the support of the community, we really couldn't make this possible. So
He just mentioned you. You guys didn't even smile.
I'm all yours, Mark.
well, you heard it here first, folks. But all jokes aside, we're very excited to announce it and bring it forth to not just you guys, but the community itself. Sorry, my mind drew a blank.
You want me to step in a little bit?
Sorry, I had it.
He's still working on this public speaking thing. He's great at giving orders. He's a sergeant.
Giving orders.
And this is actually now his project as part of the company. So we've let him direct more and more and more of it. He's very, very involved with the community now, and we're pretty excited about that. We do have 2, 3, 4, 5 musical acts. Our headliner, which we haven't really announced yet, we're getting ready to do that. But it's a band from Grand Rapids, Celestina y Los Sanchez. That's the most Hispanic I've ever sounded in my life. I hope we got that on recorded. But they're a great band from up there. We have Diego Hernandez from Fort Wayne. We brought back Javier Beltran, the mariachi. However, we also have Mariachi Eco from Goshen College, which is a mariachi group from the ages of 11 to 25, and it encompasses everyone in that age group. So we're really excited about that.
Cool.
10 right now food trucks, and I know Brooke, now Crouch, Brooke Roman told me last year she sampled every one of them. So now we're going to give her a little passport to go to each one. We're just really excited about this. We're doing some things. We're working to put together a scholarship/grant for the Mendez family that's going through the Adams County Foundation. We actually think we're going to end up with a grant rather than a scholarship. But we're trying to give back to the community, and we appreciate everything you guys have done for our family and for everything else. And almost all of you have eaten with me at one time. Actually, I think everybody has. So, we're happy that I tell people, I tell some of the bands, I tell some of the people from Toledo and everywhere else that talks about it. This is great. This is such a great community. Dan's been to everyone. It's the first one he's ever going to miss, and we're ticked off at him for that. So he's not an official Mexican anymore. But it is a great time, and we tell everybody how great the community is. We hope that it shines a great light on our community, and we're going to keep doing it as long as you guys will let us. In fact, I'm something, we may come back to you guys later on, and we're thinking about trying to do something for New Year's Eve for the whole community. May not be this year, we're talking with Greg Mendez, we have some ideas, we just gotta figure out if we can do it. So, that's a preview of it. See how shocked he is? He didn't know that we were doing that.
We learn new things every day.
So, you should ask for permission to use the Madison Street Plaza. It's an official meeting.
Well, I
And it-
guess better out of him than me.
I think.
No, better than you than me.
And if I may also as well, we also kept Robert Mendez, Nutty, as some of you may know him, under control the last couple of years. So if that may,
We didn't let him get invited.
if that may sway the decision either way, I would just like to put that out there. Just know we'll do it again. So,
And what's the date of the event?
September 19th
And the-
of this year. We actually forwarded and extended our hours, so it is instead of I think it was 3 to 9 p.m. We're going from 2 to 10 p.m. So starting a little earlier,
Ish.
partying a little longer.
Okay.
Ish.
And have you completed an application for Madison Street Plaza?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you submitted that to our community coordinator?
Yes, ma'am.
And to your knowledge, has it been completed with all of the attachments necessary?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you spoken with the necessary department heads about street closures?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then in that case, there isn't an approval process other than the application process and payment of any kind of rental fees and deposits that are associated with it.
But we're glad you came to let us know.
Absolutely.
What's going on.
So, but yeah, excited for you guys to come back. Thank you for all the efforts in organizing. And it's a
You guys
great
come out
community
eating,
event.
right?
So,
'Cause I saw some of you guys out there eating. We got the Puerto Rican food coming back, the agua fresca's coming back. I mean, you know, and I know there's some. She's now a Hispanic by marriage too, but it's more than just Mexican. There's Venezuelan, there's Puerto Rican, there's Dominican, and we're trying to bring in some more of that stuff. And I didn't even know it because I'm basically just a white guy with a tan. So it's really great when I try some of this stuff out. But it is a lot of fun. We're gonna try and honor everybody as best we can, keep growing this so that at least the third weekend in September becomes a massive event.
terrific.
Okay.
Is this year 3 or year 5?
Year 3.
Year 3, about what year?
Yep.
Third year, okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Can't stay, I get your number and give you a call, and I got more notes on this. Absolutely. What's your number?
Don't call me during the softball game. You will get distracted. We're playing.
Call later.
Okay, next we have Ryan and Ryan here from Club 720.
Good evening. Thanks for the invitation to join tonight. I'm Ryan Chasey, representing Club 720 Development Corporation, also known as the Housing Resource Hub. Joined by Ryan Twist, who's representing Missionville. And wanted to follow up on conversation that we had with the mayor and Ann. I think there was some discussion of here at this body last month, and just give a little background on what the opportunity is before you, how you can take action on that, and how that would work going forward. And so we had as many of you know, the Housing Resource Hub has been involved for a number of years in Adams County overall, including the city of Decatur, helping to study, strategize, and then implement housing solutions. This has spanned over many years. In that time period, our model has changed in terms of how we work in order to go from more of a consulting role to a local capacity building role. And so we have been working to that end with the Adams County EDC over the past few years. They have been involved in a regional program that we have delivered on behalf of the Strategic Development Commission in Northeast Indiana to be able to take ownership and move forward with some of these housing initiatives on their own with our support in the background. And so I say that as background for you to make clear what we're this is an opportunity that that you have. The Housing Resource Hub Club 720 Development Corporation has recently received funding from the IEDC, Indiana Economic Development Corporation, from the Lilly Endowment Initiative to do a regional housing infill program. And so in our conversation with the mayor and Ann, we were talking about some of the sites that you have available and raised the possibility of, one of those sites potentially being a fit for this infill program. I'm going to let Ryan Twist in a minute talk a little bit more about the program itself and how that works, but I want to just share that we are working in this way, not as a developer, but as a funder of you to be able to take on this development. And so I had shared a previous version that I think was of a letter of interest or intent that with Ann, and that would be the way to get the process started, would be to submit a letter of intent saying we're interested in evaluating the fit of this property with this program. That would be submitted to us as the funding recipient. We would then need to do an eligibility review of that, including with the state, to determine if that's eligible. So think of us in this scenario as kind of a funder that would do that. Now, in that original letter, it referenced the site control of the site, and it said that the site control would come to the nonprofit, the Housing Resource Hub. That was based on the conversation, this was a month or two ago, that we had with Ann and the mayor, as this program is just getting up off the ground. And so at that time, we said if you were interested in participating in this, the property would have to go towards the project, and there would have to be a vehicle to hold that. At the time, we were looking at our nonprofit as the default to be able to hold that property. Since then, in subsequent conversations, this is what we talked to Ann about last week, we're feeling like it's better to have a local entity that would actually control and own the property than we could then partner with to make sure that the program is administered in a compliant way. And so this most recent version of the letter of interest that you have spells that out more clearly. And so I wanted to just address that head on, because that was, I think, probably a point of confusion, and also a direct change to what you've heard last month. So with that background, I'll let Ryan talk a little bit about the program itself.
Yeah, just to give a little bit of a brief overview, because prior to my time with Mission Build and Club 720 Solutions, I was with the Northeast Indiana Regional Partnership and served in a capacity helping administer the READY program through the Regional Development Authority. And so I was actually on the other side of the table when we were applying for this grant through the state. And the original, and the program was called Bulk Purchased Housing by Local Governments. And so the thought was our nonprofit would, as Ryan just said, would be the recipient of these grants, and then be sort of a funder in partnership with a local unit of government who would contribute a parcel or parcels of land, and then we would help coordinate the construction of homes on those parcels. And so as Ryan said, the original sort of intent and default, since the nonprofit is the recipient of the funds, and since what the way the program was kind of crafted was the contributed land is calculated in the match. So as you guys have had READY programs in the past, it can only be 20% of the total project value can be the state funds. It's no different from some of these other kind of READY adjacent state funding programs. And so we built out the budget for that in such a way that the local unit, the local unit of government's contribution would be in land. So if they control the land, they would contribute that to the program. Originally, for kind of path of least resistance, the thought was the nonprofit would be that vehicle that could take it and move it forward. But the more that we thought about it, the more that we've built off of some of the capacity building work that we've done, as Ryan said, it just really, it doesn't matter which nonprofit is the one that really holds this, and we believe that it makes the most sense to build durable capacity for communities by helping build that or set up that nonprofit. If you don't have one, we would could help you establish one. If you do have one, that would be But as we've just kind of thought more about this, and the original, when we originally kind of put this program together, it was gonna basically be governments contribute land, we have a builder that we would contract, the builder would come in, build some houses, everybody leaves, there's some houses left, and that's the end result. As we've been designing it more and more, thinking, how can we build that durable capacity that lives here to do this beyond the term of the grant? So if we can figure out the process, then you would have a mechanism here in Decatur that could do more infill housing after this grant program has been expended, and you wouldn't have to rely on our organization to support that. We could come along and help, but the role that Missionville, the organization I'm representing today, is playing in this is serving as an owner's rep. So we're considering, in this case, the nonprofit is the conduit for the grant. The program is the entire regions. We're just stewarding it. So the houses that would be developed here on the infill lots would be driven by the Decatur community and that organization that would be driving that. So that CDC or any other nonprofit that we might help you kind of tool up to run this program. That would be the goal. Is that group you would seat that board or that body, and that group would have control over what are the types of units that go there, the product type, the look of that, how what that kind of overall development or strategy looks like. So to just try and add some of that clarity to it, the first version of the letter that we did present to Ann sort of had that default. If you'd like to be a part of this, indicate to the state that the city of Decatur is interested in having one or both of its sites kind of reviewed to see about eligibility, and that you would be willing to transfer control to a nonprofit conduit that could then do that work on behalf of the grant, which would really be the city of Decatur with us coming alongside to help make that happen.
And Ryan, when you mentioned CDC, you're talking about like a community development
Yes,
corporation.
community
So
development
it's
corporation.
a newly formed nonprofit group organized by the city that would likely have a board that's made up of council representatives, redevelopment commission, just different stakeholders within the community that would have an interest in seeing that infill project happen.
Just to, as an example, to illustrate that, we do a lot of work with our local economic developers and work through those, but like for instance, in Kosciuszko County, Ketco is very well respected among their communities, but Ketco focuses on all of Kosciuszko County. So as we've been thinking about a project potentially in Claypool, Indiana, it made the most sense for that CDC, that Community Development Corporation, to be Claypool focused, because they're the ones that are going to wake up every day thinking about their parcels of land, whereas Ketco might be thinking more about how are we going to get this new company that just came in, the employees that it needs, and someone will drive from Claypool to Warsaw to work. That's not quite what's in the back of their mind with those labor sheds. You guys are thinking about Decatur. It makes the most sense for Decatur to be front of mind in that organization and project.
So what is it that you are requesting of city council at this point in time?
So the decision that you would have is if you want to put forward a property that the city would be interested in, basically checking the eligibility to receive
Included in this
funding.
program.
Yeah, to be included in the program. And
Okay.
so that's what the letter is intended to spell out. That would be the initial action before you today.
Because the IEDC, again, going back to the roots of this project, without the government's participation, there's no project. We've had private landowners come in and say, hey, we have an infill parcel, can we do this? And this project is coming alongside, and it's a blight remediation coming alongside the local units of government to help them to relieve that burden. So that is the charitable purpose within this as well.
And so the parcels that had been contemplated are the three, they're undeveloped. They had structures on them at one point when the city acquired that have been raised and they're grassed areas. That there are three parcels that are situated just south of the Macklin Building on First Street and kind of end where Jefferson Street intersects with First Street. So There are 3 parcels there that are kind of subject of this project at this point, so.
And so with, with the infill projects, is it only home ownership? Are they doing rentals too, or is this?
So we are strongly encouraging, one, to bring down the sales price and the cost of construction, looking at some level of density. It is a home ownership project, but, and the reason why I'm kind of hedging on that is, for each of these, we potentially encourage a side-by-side or, common wall, single-family home, or maybe townhouses or something like that. We would expect to have at least one of those units have a home ownership component because of the way the grant was written, but 11 county region in the first kind of go on that. And then because it is a nonprofit, so any sales proceeds that would come out of those would then be put back into the fund to then do additional infill houses in other communities in Northeast Indiana or Decatur.
And when we spoke last week, my takeaway, and so please correct me if I'm wrong, was that the city would have a lot of involvement in the selection of who the builder would be. The city's contribution would be the parcels of land. You would help kind of marginalize the costs because you have a vendor network, and it would either be through your vendor network or through the contractor's lower pricing available.
So
So
through
you
Mission
kind of-
Build with the grant funds, we are putting together with a architecture firm based out of Indianapolis a pattern book. So a series of final construction designs that we can take, and that would fit on certain parcels. And then we are dialing in through vendor networks what we're calling rough order of magnitude cost books. So we will know how much it costs to build the units within our pattern book and have those relationships dialed in. So then we would say, okay, Decatur, CDC, board who's overseeing this, here's how much it can be built for. And if you have a local builder or a different type of product that would come in and say they could do it for less or a different thing, that's really, as long as the economics work and there's money to go back into the fund to do more homes through the grant, and the grant funds don't get unnecessarily expended, we would encourage that you work with local architects, local builders, whomever would come alongside. But we would be able to say, through cost control, this is how, if we do this, we could do it for, let's say, just argument's sake, $150 a square foot. You might have a local builder who said, we can't do it for a penny under 175 without additional subsidy. And so then that'll be the community's decision whether or not to proceed with some additional subsidy, to have that local builder, or to go with the framework that we put in place. But it truly is, it's, as Ryan said, this would be your project, so it would be your decisions to be made at that point.
And that's what what I want to just emphasize in this is not us coming here to make a sales pitch to say you should do this or not do this. This is just us presenting an opportunity that's available to any community within Northeast Indiana that has a parcel that we think might be eligible, because the mayor's been such a leader on the housing front region-wide, and we've been involved with him for many years. We happen to know about this opportunity and had a discussion about it. So you're kind of at the head of the curve to even be really hearing about or exploring this. This would be just the second of these projects in the region, the first being in Fort Wayne, as Ryan had mentioned.
And if I could just add, I'm sorry to just throw in there a little color commentary, you are in an advantageous position because of the sites that between the redevelopment commission and the city you do control. There are most of the communities that we're working in are trying to cobble together one or two maybe parcels. So just wanted to add that.
Yeah, and so this is an opportunity. This would be your project. You would maintain control. The setup of that organization, or finding an organization to be able to lead that and seat those folks, would be of critical importance to make sure that your vision is carried out. Because our organizations respectively are going to be working alongside that organization on funding and compliance, and on being an owner's rep and all the technical aspects that Ryan Twist just talked about. And so that organization will have all that to be able to make the decisions and look at all the types of details that will go into that. But that's, I think, part of what we see as he described it, the durability of this to do more than just one round of funding, to be able to, you know, really make this a system that you can utilize for not just this, but other projects going forward.
And one final kind of disclaimer on this is if you were to decide, no, we don't really want to set up a new organization or, you know, with changes at the EDC, we're just not quite sure what to do with that, and you did want to, it would be possible, I mean, our organization, the nonprofit, could take control of the site if that were up to you. What we would do in that case then is establish what we call a housing activation committee that you would select the members for, that would then serve in that same kind of advisory role. It just wouldn't be a fiduciary role at that point. So it's not as if you say we don't want to set this up, then we cede all decision making to this nonprofit. You'd still have the decision making role, just not that governance role.
I think it's a challenge because this area of land has been talked about a lot of different, you know, development projects over the last, 15 years of park, amphitheater, apartments, housing, and we start to move forward and then, you know, I'm not sure that it's the right time. So I don't know. I'm just talking out loud of what I'm thinking of. I'm not certain that I'm ready to jump on board with it myself. And from what I gather of like a lot of what the community wants is things like parking. I don't necessarily know that we do need more downtown parking. I think that there's plenty, but I also feel like maybe it could be a better use of that area of space right there on the riverfront, downtown. Is it best used as housing? I don't know.
So my question would be, so we give you the okay, you go back, you say these 3 lots are now eligible, and then what's the next step from there at that point?
After we would do the eligibility review, then we would concurrently work with Ann to determine what the structure of that's gonna look like locally. I mean, unless we see any red flags that are coming up, I mean, we're fairly familiar with this site, so I mean, we would expect that it would be eligible, but again, we still have to go through and check all those boxes. To make sure we get that set up, that would then be followed by, you know, a legal agreement where the community would formally designate to that organization that you know is going to be donated to the project, because that would then count as, you know, as match, and then you know, we would work to get started on all of the work plan that he just talked about, putting the plan together and the costs and the pieces and so forth.
Looking at one of the biggest dangers with infill is always the environmental remediation. One thing we talk about is, especially on sites where there was a house, and in some cases the demolition process, we use the term Buicks in the basement, where you don't know what's down there until you start digging. And so part of it is the due diligence on the financial side to say, is this site really feasible for this, buildable for this? I'm not speaking specifically to the First Street site, just in general. So doing a review there, and then we would start to look at figuring out what kind of designs you would want, what elevations, what type of units you would want there, whether you would want to do townhouses, and so that's what that group that we would help establish would then begin opining on.
So is your goal to put the money in, get the place sold, get the money back, and then go do another project?
Mhm.
Is that what I'm getting at? That you
Yeah,
guys are shooting for?
this is creating, the intent is to create a revolving fund that would be specific to the 11 counties in Northeast Indiana that the RDA oversees, or supports.
And then is your goal to subsidize the projects, or just be the financial guy to carry it until
So
it's sold?
Yeah, what we are really trying to do is work with the builders, whether that would be through the Mission Build or local, to first begin with pre-sales. So we would ideally, the best way to get these projects financed and then disposed of so that the money can be recycled is to bring a buyer before you even start building. So we're using our platform, club720.org, and some of the down payment assistance programs that are available through the state and others to try and recruit and identify pre-sales for those units.
For that area, is this just for housing or for the? for that area, I see something transformational, not just putting homes there.
This
So
grant
that's-
is specific to infill housing.
So then that would be housing plus whatever it cost us to actually do what we would want to do there to make the riverfront something. Is that what we're
Yeah,
hearing?
this is just a housing component.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we kind of
Just didn't-
moved
yeah,
down
it's
off,
just-
off this corner down
Yeah.
to that area.
Just that one?
What's it? Right now, we're just looking at the one down by Jefferson. That's all. It's just those 3 parcels right there. And basically, where this all started was Northeast Indiana realized there's a housing need all over, and these guys put together a program. It's been going on for about 4 or 5 years to build up to this point to where now they're reaching out to communities and saying, who has infill spaces? Who has spaces where you can build homes? And originally, when they first reached out to us, it was, well, there's a few spots right there, and that's kind of where we came up with it. Some cities have random streets all over that have empty lots throughout, but we really don't have a lot of them. I mean, we have a spot, down behind the police station on 8th Street, but with the setbacks from I&M and everything else and the railroad and all the stuff goes on there, maybe, they couldn't be very deep lots, but I mean, that's an option there. But to say we have a ton of infill, we really don't.
Can we
But we
allow
could
them
use the
to
housing.
look, can we allow them to look at more than one lot, or is that what you're just asking for a certain area, or
They could look at any infill,
Yeah.
any infill.
to
within
make
a-
sure that it would meet the standards, I guess?
Yeah, it becomes harder to make a case when we're looking at farmland that's never had utilities to it. But if even I know there are some parcels indicated that may not have been originally housing, but have housing
Near.
in a park.
Right.
That I think we would make a strong case that's infill housing too, even though it might be a new development, as opposed to just a single unit on a single parcel. I think there's a strong case to be made for that.
Right. The whole idea is just to create more housing options. That's what it's coming from. And the state is really, that's why the IEDC passed the money up here to say, here you go, create more housing.
I wasn't comfortable at the last meeting. We had 2 councilmen were not here and the mayor was not here. So I just want to hear more
Oh, sure.
about exactly what is being presented. We tore down rental houses in that area because the city needed them. And now we're talking about putting more rental houses back up. Not rental, but I think we have to decide, do we think housing is right there?
Can the peanut gallery talk, or is that not allowed?
It's not a public comment and it's
Okay.
not a public discussion at this point in time, but if you do have you will have an opportunity to make a public comment at the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stick around.
So I think, I appreciate these guys came and explained it a little more, so that now you guys know what, they're not builders, they're not, that's not what they're doing, they're not architects. They're trying to help communities in the 11 counties build more homes. That's the whole idea.
We're not trying to assemble land either. Just the way that first letter that you guys saw was written, it kind of sounded like
Yeah, that
was
was
a
my-
condition of it, because
right.
originally we've assumed that would be the path of least resistance for communities, but moved away from that.
And I think, the question that you're asking is the appropriate question to ask at this stage of the game, which is housing the priority there? Because if it's not, then obviously you don't wanna go forward with this. If it is, then it's all the questions of, what type, and how many, and what's it look like. That's all stuff that would then, you'd be in control of during this process to be able to make those decisions. You wouldn't have to do that here today. This
Right,
is-
and that all happens after you review the site and
Exactly.
say that it will work there.
Right.
Right. And a lot of this is coming from the surveys that we've done of the young adults in the community that would love to have housing that's walkable to downtown. And that was one of the things we heard from them. So.
So this is not low-income housing or similar to like what took place at the Loft?
This is not tax credit housing or any kind of, this is more attainable and kind of workforce housing. It's trying to stay, it's market rate, but it is, trying to keep costs within a measurable level, a known, removing a lot of the variables with the costs of builds, because they have kind of a plan book of different development options, while the community decides the housing type and the overall aesthetic and look of what would go in there. It would be somewhat contained, or at least from Club 720's perspective, my understanding is they kind of cap, like, here's what we're prepared to contribute, because here's what we know we can build this for. If we want it if we're willing to invest more, we have the capacity to do that. If that development corporation would decide to take on that expense, and council would be willing to participate in that. But it's not subsidized housing or tax credit housing.
One of the phrases we use a lot is we're trying to, as a demonstration through this grant, is to prove that you can build housing affordably, not build affordable housing. There's a big difference. It costs a lot of money to build affordable housing. It costs a lot more per door than it does to build market rate housing, because there are a lot more rules you have to jump through, because it is subsidized almost always through federal funds. And so it ends up becoming even more cost prohibitive unless you're getting the equity out of the tax credits for that, and this has no tax credits associated with it at all. The grant is actually through from the Lilly Endowment through the IEDC to us, so it's not even taxpayer originated funds. But that said, we do start with the community's market potential analysis, and if it's likely, and if we're doing pre-sales and kind of product testing, and this body or the body of the CAC says, yeah, we want to put $700,000 units there, but there's no path towards actually selling $700,000 units in that area, it wouldn't go forward. That would be an impossible project to move along. So there is a give and take to that in terms of what product needs to be on that parcel.
One other question then, who takes the risk in that? Like, are you saying the nonprofit would take the risk in? You said 700,000, but say you put a $500,000 house up and it doesn't sell, who's sitting on that house till it sells? Who's the city, or is that your money? How's that?
I mean, that's the entity then that owns the project, so the nonprofit.
So if you create that CDC, but I think that's the whole idea, is you don't build the $500,000 house if you don't have it sold.
And that's where the pre-sales as a huge part of this comes in, because what we're doing is doing product test fits at like when you start to do the design. So you're running them out there and saying, would someone actually want to buy this unit? Would someone actually want to buy this unit? Is someone willing to get pre-approved for a potential unit on spec? So we do a lot of that testing to see what units would actually move on that site. Because the last thing you want to do is prove to future home builders that want to come to Decatur that you can't move units.
So is your concept that it attracts more future home builders coming to Decatur by you showing that it works? Is that the goal?
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah, we're proving the economics of this kind of infill. And we're talking about missing middle products, so not all of these are pure, like, they're not kind of initially anticipated to be large single-family detached houses, just because that product is really expensive to build and really expensive to buy at this point. So the question becomes, where does that CDC, do you want to build small single-family detached because you can afford to build a small and sell a small single-family detached, or a larger, nicer unit with an attached wall, a townhouse kind of framework, but for home ownership? So that all becomes decisions made at that CDC level or that housing activation committee level, depending on which route you take, if you proceed at all.
Is there a time frame that this program runs through?
Like I said, it is launching in earnest right now. I mean, we went under contract this late this spring, and so we're just launching it. As Ryan Twist mentioned, we have a commitment in the grant to produce 60 initial units, and so we're working, right now.
Somebody's going to build 60 units.
Yeah, somebody is. So we've got about, what is the number, 20 some slated in for
22,
Fort
I think.
Wayne, I think. so, I mean, obviously, our plan is to do more than the 60 units, but
But
the timing
initially,
on that
yeah.
will then be dependent on these first ones selling and the recycling of those funds. So this initial opportunity, that's here is
Time sensitive.
time sensitive, yeah. to do that.
Okay.
One more question, sorry.
You can
Get
ask
it all
more
out there.
questions,
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
So is the money then given as an interest-free loan at some point, or like you're saying you're the lender that's going to fund this until it's sold, or is the non-for-profit funding it?
So we actually we put the builder under contract, to construct the home. So we are, right, as we're working through that process.
Yeah, I mean, we take the contract, so the local entity is the decision-making entity, but not the
Financial risk.
entity. We maintain the financial role in that. And so both taking those under contract, making, those expenditures, I mean, that's all grant administration at that point in time. And then tracking, the sales and so forth. So that entity is your entity to be able to hold property and make decisions on, the look and the units and so forth, but it's not the financial entity.
I guess maybe I'm a little confused here. If we're not the financial entity, if you're paying the bills, you would be holding the property then, right? Until it's sold. How would the city be
We're
holding?
essentially the beneficiary of grant funds. So they're the grant administrator,
But
but
the-
we would be essentially awarded grant funds through
He's saying he's paying the funds.
through
I know it's
You
grant.
wanna-
I understand it's grant money,
Yeah.
and your administration is going to pay the funds. But who owns the property while it's going up?
the Community Development Corporation.
The Community Development Corporation
Or-
will hold title to it, and then we, are,
So that leads me to where I'm trying to get at. That
Yeah.
I think I asked earlier is you're gonna put the funds up for this house. This community, we're gonna own this property while it's up. How do you get your funds back if the property doesn't sell, or what's the recourse at that point? Is what I'm asking.
that would be risk assumed by us as the funder.
You.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was asking. That's all I'm
Yeah,
asking.
because when that unit gets sold, we also would take the proceeds then to then put back into the fund to recycle.
Right.
So we couldn't, that would then, could be tantamount to making a grant and then having a clawback on that grant if we were to do it the other way. So the funds do stay in that control so that we can recycle those funds for future builds.
Okay, I guess that's what I was asking. I just want to see who's holding the risk to the project.
Yeah, sorry, I should have been clearer about that. We will hold the risk on that. Obviously, the community has units that aren't moving, so there's risk borne by the community, but the financial risk of that would be borne by the grant administrator.
That was what I needed.
Is there any interest of anybody that would want to develop that without this program? Just some developer?
It may be something,
I've had two local investors, builders, call me since it was in the paper the last time with, one said, if I'm gonna get a free lot, I'd love it. I'll build a house, happy to, somewhat jokingly, but, there was just more questions really, so I really am glad you came to learn more about this opportunity. It is an opportunity. I think it's just, do we think housing there is something we want? I think we need to decide. And I don't know that I'm ready to make that decision. Can we think on it until the next meeting or we table it?
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys have,
It's time sensitive,
Right,
but we don't
right.
have to decide now.
but the other thing you can think about is, are there other lots that make sense?
Sure.
I mean, if they're going to review lots at
Yeah, could they
No.
review 8th Street?
no cost to us, I would rather have them potentially do that one and another one, because we're not tying anything down at that point in time.
it does have, I mean, there is a cost to the city in terms of making sure that there's marketable title, that there's survey work, if there has to be
Well, not
replanting,
at
if there's.
first. He's he's gonna review it, make sure that the property's eligible, and he's gonna come and say that it's somewhat eligible, right?
Who's he?
His
Ryan
firm.
Chase. What would
Correct.
be the next, if the city decided that those parcels on First Street were of interest, what's the, and council approves the letter of intent to that extent?
Yeah, I mean, we have said in the letter there that, you know, subject to city approvals, due diligence, title review, legal review, the city intends to donate that. So that would not, we would not have to have all that in hand if you wanted to proceed with the letter to do that initial
Okay.
review up front, but that would be forthcoming quickly then.
I guess what does the initial review entail?
So the
Outside
initial
of-
review is us sharing with the project manager from the IEDC, the specific lots, a piece of paper that says more than just us representing, hey, we've talked to some community about it, that yes,
Yeah.
they are interested and they are willing to donate the property to the project. That then is reviewed internally there as well as by us primarily on the infill definition. I mean, that's the biggest question on this. This is, as Ryan Twist mentioned, part of a Lilly, you know, blight elimination program. And so being very clear on, you know, the infill nature of that is of critical importance for the eligibility. And then if that pretty quickly gets a thumbs up, then this moves into all the things you're talking about, Ann, including, you know, legal agreements and all of that. So.
Okay.
So what exactly is the benefit of the $7.5 million that Lilly has put into the projects? I mean, is that just to help keep the cost of the buildings down? I mean, is that?
Or is it to attract builders and developers into?
So the $7.5 million from Lilly that's going into infill housing, where is that money? Where is it going?
So, not insignificant chunk of it is in proving out this model. So building out the playbook, or the pattern book with the designs, and then the vendor networks and the costs, the rough order of magnitude cost books for that. So actually putting together construction-ready designs for, we're at 9 first going pattern book. So it's nine different designs for that, the construction-ready designs, and then building in the vendor network and identifying the costs at each one of the major systems for that. So a lot of it is building out those relationships, but then the $7.5 million is used for the cost of construction as well. So it's not, we are using some of it for that.
And as we talked about on the phone last week too, and this is also about, you know, taking these sorts of things and proving out using local
Showing it
folks
works.
and builders, but getting them out of necessarily the risk position on some of this and the financial
the
risk
benefit
that
of the
goes
whole
on
deal.
with
Right.
proving this model.
Yeah.
Takes the risk
It
away.
takes the risk out. It doesn't say that a builder can't come and still build this
Right,
thing.
it could be all local builders.
100%,
It
yeah.
could be all local. What they're doing is just taking the risk out.
Right.
That's the. I mean, that's what I was trying to get you to say. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I
Yeah.
was looking. You're taking the risk
For a
out.
while, but we can-
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's what it's doing. I mean, it's.
But it could
taking-
be, you know, if we're all accustomed to seeing a 3-bedroom, 2-bath ranch with a 2-car attached garage, this gives the opportunity to maybe explore a different type of development or a different type of model and prove its validity.
And I think we've seen that in town a little bit with some of the homes that have
It's
been built.
happening. There's
Right, it's happening
builders
right now.
out there that are filling the lots, and
But they're assuming the risk.
they're assuming the risk, and those builders would still have the opportunity to get into this project with less risk, which could cost less, and get a cheaper house up that someone can afford, because it's expensive and there's a lot of risk on it. I mean, I'll tell you firsthand, I build houses, and you take on a risk when you put that up if it doesn't sell, but it gives an opportunity. It's not sending a builder out of the way or a developer. I mean, you still got a chance to play in the game, and it's a way to get lots cleaned up. I think what you're telling us is, the way I heard it the first time, I wasn't a big fan. I mean, I'd be first to tell you, but after explaining, I think it's think it'd be a good program. I know there's some people against the riverfront development, but I would like to look at a couple more lots. From what I understand, it's not gonna cost us upfront to say it's eligible on your standpoint. I know we'll have to get the title work and stuff, then maybe more of a hard decision needs to be made, but
Yeah.
I would like to come up with a few other options for you to look at, and I'm in favor of it, I guess, at the moment, so just my opinion.
Are you in favor of it with the lots proposed? Those street addresses would be like 207 South First Street, 135 South First Street, and 125 South First Street. So are you saying you're in favor of looking at the eligibility of those particular lots?
I think I would want another couple weeks to review that and come up with a couple other options before I mean, it's not something that's going away tomorrow, per se.
Until somebody else
Jumps.
uses it.
Right.
Or till it's not right.
You say you have 20 on tap that have been approved.
Yeah, right now, yep.
Do you have any under construction at the moment or not?
No, we're still, in fact, we are, as Ryan said, launching this process with the IEDC. We're still finalizing some of the paperwork in terms of getting access to actually unlocking the funds to then transfer them up to people doing the work. So we're still finalizing some of that paperwork, but everything is
When do
signed.
you see that start?
Well, Sherry said he's hoping within the next couple week or so. But again, as Ryan Chasey also said, we're further along with the city of Fort Wayne than we're next furthest along with the city of Decatur. So it's not as if, I'm not suggesting you have an unlimited amount of time to make any of these decisions, but there's also not necessarily a line at the door pounding on it that you're gonna lose your spot.
Well, I understand it more now. That
Yeah.
explain more.
All right. So if you guys want more time to think about it, I do appreciate you guys coming up and explaining the program.
Thank
Definitely.
you very much.
Appreciate you. Appreciate your time.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you guys. Okay. Did you want to make a comment about Project Connect?
Yeah. Let's see. So I believe it was a couple meetings ago, council approved to send our opioid funds to Project Connect. I've been in contact with them, and we actually sent them the money, and they just wanted to express their thanks to council for the donation. So I wanted to share that with you all. Terrific. Great.
Okay. Next, we have an amendment to the Public Arts Commission Board Members Ordinance.
We do. So, the Public Arts Commission is made up of a 9-member board of directors, 9-member board, and one of those members had traditionally been appointed from Decatur Cultural Connections. That group is dissociated, and there's therefore no longer a member available from that group to serve on the board. And historically, there had been 2 either local artists, graphic designers, people in the industry, in kind of like an artistic kind of background, that had also served on the board. And the Arts Commission is asking for an amendment to our ordinance for the board makeup to delete the member from Decatur Cultural Connection and increase the number of artists or graphic designers from 2 to 3. So that's what this amendment is.
12?
So that would be, yes, introduction of ordinance 2026-12.
I make a motion to introduce ordinance 2026-12 on its first reading by short title only.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Opposed, same sign.
Ordinance 2026-12 An ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Decatur amending Chapter 32, Sections 32.093 of the 2015 City of Decatur Code of Ordinances is supplemented regarding Arts Commission board member composition.
I make a motion to pass ordinance 2026-12 on its first reading.
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call vote?
Jenny Bauer Schultz.
Yes.
Matt Dyer.
Yes.
Tyler Fulenkamp.
Yes.
Scott Murray.
Yes.
Abby Wilder.
Yes.
Does anybody feel the need to table this, or? Okay,
There's no rush or urgency, and the Arts Commission doesn't meet prior to the next meeting to be able to get this passed and allow them to get someone else appointed.
they do not meet?
They don't
Oh.
meet prior to the second meeting in August.
Okay.
So there'd be an opportunity to get this passed.
Okay, I'll just move to table ordinance 2026-12 into our next meeting on August 18th.
Second.
Motion and second to table it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, table till the next meeting. Next, we have amendments to the public purchasing table ordinance.
Yes, so this, chapter 33 in our, there's a section in there, 33.019, that is our procurement table, and it summarizes the various laws that determine what kind of steps need to be taken for certain types of purchases, for equipment, supplies, services, whether we need to, whether a department head can make the decision, whether we need to have quotes or sealed bids, that kind of thing. And there had been changes in the law that went into effect, I believe, in July of 2025, and our table was outdated. And so we are updating the table in our ordinances to reflect updated changes in the law. And what this does is increase the amount of decisions that can be made, and then the monetary range that requires quotes versus sealed bids. So that amount had been $50,000 to $149,000 for equipment and supplies. That range has now increased from $50,000 to $300,000. That allows for quotes rather than going through the bidding process. It also increases the amount of projects that can be done in-house by city employees up to $300,000 without having to go get sealed bids and quote that out. So, or bid that out. So this is really just updating the table of our code of ordinances to reflect those increased ranges and increased flexibility. So.
All right, I make a
Erin.
motion to introduce ordinance
did you have it?
2026-13 on its first reading by short title only.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Ordinance 2026-13, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Decatur which amends the Decatur Code of Ordinances of 2015 as supplemented to amend Chapter 33, Section 33.019.
I make a motion to pass ordinance 2026-13 on its first reading.
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call vote?
Jenny Bauer Schultz.
Yes.
Matt Dyer.
Yes.
Tyler Fulenkamp.
Yes.
Scott Murray.
Yes.
Abby Wilder.
Yes.
And we do have more urgency to move
I mean,
through this one.
The law is already in effect.
Yeah.
The sooner we get our table
We're behind.
updated, the easier it is to implement that.
I will move to suspend the rules and pass ordinance 2026-13 on its second reading by short title only.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Ordinance 2026-13, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Decatur, which amends the Decatur Code of Ordinances of 2015 and is supplemented to amend Chapter 33, Section 33.019.
I make a motion to adopt ordinance 2026-13 on its final reading.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Jenny Bowers Schultz.
Yes.
Matt Dyer.
Yes.
Tyler Fulenkamp.
Yes.
Scott Murray.
Yes.
Abby Wilder.
Yes.
Okay.
That's table for next time.
Table. Okay, next, we were going to bring up the MUST, which is the Municipal Unit Strategic Task Force, which came out of HEA 1210 last year. It's a framework for planning for, basically income taxes going forward. We had a meeting with, AIM and AIC at the county, and, Scott attended it, right? And so did Aaron, and so did Ian and myself. Basically, we're going to continue those conversations, and I think it would be wise for you guys to have a representative on, not necessarily on the task force, but showing up to the meetings. So the only person from the local government that gets to decide is the clerk treasurer, and then it'll be clerk treasurer and county council from throughout the county. So, but it would be wise for you guys to have a representative join these MUST meetings.
Somebody to help understand and strategize or
Right.
make sure
And,
you're.
and bring back information to the
Right.
council as well. It would
Right.
be very helpful.
Right. It's just gonna be planning, it's gonna be, the municipalities within the county and the county working together to see what that tax structure looks like going forward. And again, next session, probably it's all gonna change a little bit, cause this doesn't really take effect till 2029. So it's just early planning, and really the legislature is just trying to see how well cities and counties are gonna play in the sandbox together. That's kind of what this is about.
But
Is there already another meeting scheduled, or is it just kind of?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I believe the next meeting will probably be in September, and my guess would be it's during the day. So I know that affects some individuals with,
Like we need to designate a certain person or?
Just anyone from council.
Yeah.
Or like, I'd rather have someone just sit. But like, yeah, like they said, sometime one councilman goes or councilwoman, or do you want it to
that's
be
up
the
to,
same person every
yeah,
time?
that's up to you. I would, it's
What
not
would you feel more comfortable with?
it's not mandatory. I just think it's going to be a struggle if these meetings are during the day, finding someone to be able to participate in those meetings, obviously, with work schedules.
My guess is they're gonna want them on Tuesdays after their commissioner and council meetings, is what I'm guessing, cause they're already all there.
So who all votes? Is
County council and the clerk treasurers from the municipalities within the county.
Where do they
all of
meet at?
county council?
I'm not
We're
sure
not
about
sure
that.
how
I'm not
many.
sure if it's all of them or just one county council member. I think county council has to designate that one voter.
One
Yeah.
voter, so
Yeah.
there's 3 voters.
And really, and it has to be unanimous, so, I mean, it's basically whether we're all gonna go into one pot for local income taxes, or the cities are gonna pull out and go on their own. That's really what, and
It
then,
has to be a 3-0 vote, basically.
right. And then the cities have limits to where you can set income taxes, the county does, and there's different, different taxing agencies that can get some, but that's all gonna be decided by county council. We'll have no say in that, other than if we go opt out on our own, the max is 1.2% for a city.
I mean, the max tax rate for for all of us is 2.9.
Right.
So,
With everything involved, county, fire and EMS,
and it will not,
townships, library, everything.
and it will not be that. I believe we're currently at 1.65,
1.6 something, yeah.
so we're not even close to that right
But they're
now.
not even sure who takes care of the, like necessarily have a fire department.
But
Right.
they're going to
But
be
they get to make the
responsible
decision.
for 0.4% of,
They can go to fire and EMS,
yeah, of that.
but they will make that decision, not us.
Do they get to run the fire department then and pay for the trucks, or?
That's all to be discussed, and I think that'll all be looked at next session. So if you guys want to just hear when the next meeting is and pick somebody then, I mean, that, you can do that too. Well, she just wanted to get it in front of you to start thinking about it.
Yep.
Okay. Do you have anything else? Anything else?
I don't think so.
Department heads. Jeff.
Just want to give you an update on, our hiring process for the full-time. We have chosen two. We've taken them to Indianapolis, waiting on the results for their physicals, and then we send all the paperwork for hopefully be back to full staff on the career side.
Kevin. Kara.
We are gonna close the pool on September 6th, will be last weekend. That's for sure. We've got some parties going on, so we won't close it early. August 11th will be, next Tuesday will be our last weekday open, and it'll be weekends, till September 6th. And then, we're really excited. We got the ACCF Lily grant for our Southwood Park. And so we have more grants that we are working on for Southwood.
Okay. Great. Aaron. Seth. Matt. Okay. Anything from council? Anything to share? Okay.
Ever so patient.
And anything from the public?
Come up here.
Yep. Sure.
Ready to take notes? Newspaper people?
Wait,
Start a
2
timer.
minutes. I was gonna say, it's 2
Yeah,
minutes.
I won't spend 45 minutes. You got lots you want to give away. I got buildings lined up ready to build on tomorrow. They'll be built in 30 days, or 3 months, 4 months. You can go down Schermeyer Street, you can go down McMartin Street, you can go down 11th Street, you can go down Walnut Street. All them new houses built, which is built by my people. Not my people personally, but
Our people.
our people. They're all, Jerry Geimer, he gave me the permission to share his name. He started one less than 2 months ago. People are moving in. He said he thinks within 30 days, it's $220,000. They're not $1 million houses, but I personally think you're crazy for getting rid of those lots. Did I say that? You guys all hear that? So, no government money, but if you're gonna give them away, but if you're gonna sell them, we'll buy them too. I mean, I'll front the money, we'll buy them, and I've been up and down every street in this town looking for vacant lots for builders. I know of 2 that are not for sale. I keep trying to buy them, but, so, I did that less than 45 minutes, huh?
How many places is he building?
Well, Jerry's built,
I know he's got several.
7 houses and 2 villas in the last few years. The villas are 40 units apiece, or 2 units apiece.
Right.
I realize.
And just so you know, to clarify this was an IEDC push to help create more housing in Northeast Indiana. This isn't government subsidized housing. The plan was to use local builders. So it wasn't, just so you know, it wasn't to go around local builders' backs at all. This is to use local builders.
Yeah.
When they bring $7.5 million up to Northeast Indiana to help create housing, why would we not jump in? It's not government subsidized. It's not income based. It's none of that. So.
Put a price on the houses and I'll just buy them, or the lots. So, then you're not giving away nothing.
Right. The one thing I do like is that we create a group that gets to help decide what's going there. If we just sell somebody a lot,
We have no
control
say in
of what
how
goes
it's
over there.
developed.
Right. So, again, if we would go with this way, I think we'd still want to use local builders. I mean, that's how we want to do it.
I don't know that local voters want to mess around with government entities and money. Now you're too much red tape, meetings and stuff.
That's
These
their
people are-
choice.
Yeah, no,
Yeah. They don't have to participate in that. Yeah. Yeah.
That's all I got.
Okay.
I do appreciate it, Cory. And I know you've been looking because we've talked.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else from the public?
That's the only one here. I'm kidding.
Well, these guys are public.
Oh.
I do have one one announcement. I just wanted to thank North Adams Community Schools. It came to the Parks Department's attention a few weeks ago, about some questions about how the ownership was structured for Northward and Southward Park. And, within a couple of brief conversations, with the schools, it was, just kind of without question authorized for them to be able to transfer. They were successors in ownership to parcels that had been part of Northward School and Southward School decades ago. And those are both city parks. They've been operated as city parks for decades. It's just that the title to the properties had never been really cleaned up. But within a couple of quick conversations, the school board authorized the transfer to City Parks Department. That has been done. The deeds are prepared, they're signed and recorded, and so the city now has, City and Parks and Rec Department now have title to that, and that clears the way for grant applications and, being able to represent that we have title, that we have ownership and site control over those parcels to be able to get that grant funding. So, yeah, thank you to North Adams.
I'll make a motion to pay the claims.
Second.
Motion and second to pay the claims, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
And a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.